This document links to the IB Higher Level Option 7 Statistics topics. In particular, it's looking at confidence intervals for the mean of a normal distribution where we know sigma. The page there tells you some instructions about what's going to be happening on page 1.3, and this is where all the action happens. This slider up here, the one which has got the handle there, you can use that to change the size of the confidence interval from 99% to 95 all the way down to about 50%. This slider here, which we'll grab in a minute, will allow us to change the number of confidence intervals. And this slider down here underneath the number 2 at the moment will allow us to change the size of the sample from which we are calculating the mean. So, the situation is as follows. It's a classic picture in confidence interval theory. This dotted line represents the true mean. We often don't know it, and we can see that I've generated a sample, and this line represents the size of that confidence interval, where each end is the upper bound and lower bound of that confidence interval. Now, if I were to increase the number of confidence intervals to be 2, to be 3, to be 5, of the 5 confidence intervals so far, only 3 of them have captured the true mean. This one and this one are missing it. Now, we have to bear in mind I did set my confidence interval to be 70%, and so far only 3 of my 5 are capturing the true mean, so that's at about 60%. But if we increase the number of confidence intervals on show to 10 and up to 100, we can see that of these 100 generated confidence intervals, that 66 of them currently capture the true mean, which is the dotted line. Now, we can repeat this whole sample by just clicking on the repeat button, doesn't matter which side, and this time it's generated another 100 confidence intervals, but this time only 65 managed to capture the true mean of the parent population. All of our samples are currently of size 2, so we're not particularly reliable. So if we increase the sample size to say a sample of size 10, we can now see for these 100 confidence intervals, 67 of them are being captured. And again, you can repeat the simulation as many times as you wish. We can change the confidence intervals and just go up to the more traditional 90% or even 95%. But still, we don't expect it to capture 95 out of the 100. It sometimes be a little bit more and sometimes a little bit less. And again, you can run the simulation as many times as you want. So this is really important for students to see, that when they're talking about confidence intervals, it's not a probability of capturing a population mean. It's if you were to do this repeated process, typically 100 times, the confidence interval percentage tells you how many times it should capture the true mean. Students can play around with this confidence interval slider and the sample size slider, and they can see the effects on the confidence intervals as to which ones make them bigger and which ones make them smaller. So they can have more control over the size of the confidence interval by changing the sample size as well as its percentage. So it's really important to let students play with this. They will gain a lot from it. We're done.